Today, I'll be previewing Stewart-Haas Racing as we head into the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. It's no secret that Stewart-Haas Racing in 2021 absolutely struggled. In 2020, Stewart-Haas Racing picked up 10 victories, 9 with Kevin Harvick, and one of their victories came with Cole Custer as well. But in 2021, Stewart-Haas Racing only scored one victory, and that was at Erik Amaral in New Hampshire. SHR went from being a team that was a championship threat in 2020 with Kevin Harvick to being a team that a lot of their drivers could barely finish in the top 20 in points. Only 2 drivers were able to finish in the top 20 in points. As the season went on and progressed, they did improve a little bit, but really for most of the year, SHR absolutely struggled throughout 2021. So going into 2022 for Stewart-Haas Racing, they're going to be looking to have a much better season. Like, I'm not expecting SHR to be a championship threat next year and go back to being a championship level after how much they struggled in 2021. But I think in 2022, I think there's a chance that they could prove. So now, let's go ahead and jump into the drivers that will be driving for this team in 2022. The first driver is going to be the most competitive driver from 2021, that being Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick did have a pretty solid year in 2021. Even with the struggles of their other drivers that drove for this team in 2021, Kevin Harvick continued really putting up a really strong effort, consistently getting top 5s and top 10s throughout the season. As a matter of fact, Kevin Harvick had the 4th or 5th best average finish throughout the 2021 season, despite Stewart-Haas Racing struggles. Unfortunately for Kevin Harvick, and this is why Kevin Harvick really got eliminated in the round of 12, he failed to win a race throughout the 2021 season. And this is the first season that Kevin Harvick has failed to win a NASCAR Cup Series race since the 2009 season, when Richard Childress Racing absolutely did horrible in the 2009 season. But Kevin Harvick in 2022 is looking to bounce back, and also is hopefully looking forward to not having any feuds or confrontations, because another big thing that happened in 2021 for Kevin Harvick is he got into a massive feud with the most popular driver, Chase Elliott. They had their issues at Bristol, and then they had their issues where Kevin Harvick had some really strong comments against Chase Elliott at Las Vegas, basically calling him a child and acting like his son Keelan, who's 9 or 10 years old, and then at Charlotte Roll, basically dumping Chase Elliott for Chase Elliott basically intimidated him, hit his Intimidator bucket line in the video games, and basically forced Kevin Harvick into the wall, even though Chase Elliott did nothing wrong. Basically, Kevin Harvick overdrove the corner, and hopefully in 2022, Kevin Harvick can get that off his mind and focus on winning races. So ultimately, what is the goal for Kevin Harvick entering the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season? Overall, Kevin Harvick needs to get back into being a championship contender, and what does he need to do? He needs to go out there and be able to pick up some victories. Kevin Harvick, like I said, did not win a race in 2021, and he needs to win victories in 2022. I'm not expecting Kevin Harvick to be a championship contender next year, but he needs to get back into kind of being in that form. But I believe that Kevin Harvick will get at least a few victories in 2022. I think he scores at least potentially 3, well, at least probably 2 to 3 victories in 2022. Gets back to having a lot of speed, a lot of progress, and I think Kevin Harvick will have a very strong season in 2022. I think he will probably still be the best driver that performs at SHR, and I think he'll be the driver that can help guys Stewart-Haas Racing to being back to being a very strong team in 2022. And he's also going to be working once again with Team Fedua and Ronnie Childress. I think is going to be a big benefactor to help them out in 2022. The next driver we're going to talk about at this team is Erik Amaral. Now, Erik Amaral absolutely did not have a good season in 2021. In 2020, Erik Amaral, I think, had like a 10 or 11 race streak where he finished in the top 10 consistently and was having such a really strong run in the summer, which started all the way back in Homestead, I think, in late May, early June, and really started showing a lot of progress up until the later portions of the late summer. But in 2021, he took a major step backwards. It took all the way up to Richmond to get his first top 10. And through the first 16 or 17 races of the season, Erik Amaral absolutely struggled. But he did end up having a really strong and good point in 2021 where he's able to win in 2021 at New Hampshire. Basically, straight up won the race, had the best car pretty much in the race at the end of the day, and was able to pick up the victory. Had a very strong car in the long runs, got up to the front, and showed a lot of speed in that race. But unfortunately, other than that, he didn't have a lot of highlights. He did, like I said, improve, and he ended up actually finishing in the top 20 points, being the other driver to finish in the top 20 points besides Kevin Harvick. But going into 2022, Erik Amaral is going to need to really improve because he's only right now, I think, got a 1-year deal left with Stewart-Haas Racing right now, because I think he signed a multi-year deal. But how much longer is Smithfield going to stick around in the sport? And I think a lot of that is going to be in part to how much performance comes out of Erik Amaral for 2022. And like I said, Erik Amaral has absolutely struggled in 2021. So what are ultimately the goals for Erik Amaral heading into the 2022 season? Erik Amaral is going to 100% have to be much more consistent driver. He needs to start showing top 5s and top 10s more consistently. I think he needs to, at minimum, get 10 top 5s minimum, 10 top 10s here, and minimum 6 or 7 top 5s throughout this year. And I think that he needs to win again. And I think that I want to see him get another victory, because Erik Amaral has a shot of doing this too. I think Erik Amaral could potentially, however, have for the first time in his career consecutive seasons of picking up victories. In Erik Amaral's Cup Series career, he's never had back-to-back seasons of winning races. He won in 2014 at the Coke 0400 in 2014, won in 2018 at Talladega, and then in 2021, won in New Hampshire. Next year, I think he has a chance of getting it done in 2022, going to have that. I think that will come at a super speedway, though, where he eventually has back-to-back seasons where he picks up victory. So that's one thing to watch for next year. He will also be working with Mike Bugger Ravis and his other, basically a spotter that's worked for a few years. I think that's Joel Edmonds, if I remember correctly, who is his current sponsor at the moment. So hope he can do really, really well next year. Can show a lot of progress, and Erik Amaral is the second driver at Stewart-Haas Racing in 2022. The third driver that is SHR that we're going to talk about is Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe became a rookie in the Cup Series in 2021. And really, honestly, my expectations were not entirely through the roof. I'll admit, I did expect him to win in 2021, at least maybe one race, and contend for the playoffs a little bit more. But with how much SHR struggled, and I do think that is why he didn't run as good as he potentially could have, I think he really did pretty well, at least at points. Now, like I said, he did struggle at the beginning of the season and really wasn't performing well. But once we got some of the road course tracks like Circuit of the Americas and Road America and also the Indianapolis road course, Chase Briscoe really was consistent, much more better driver. Now, Chase Briscoe, of course, only got 3 top 10s throughout the year, all those coming on road courses. And he did actually once contend for a victory, and that did come at the Indianapolis road course for basically forcing himself off the track, trying to race for the overall victory, and then basically dumping Denny Hamlin for the win, shortcutting the track, getting a penalty, not knowing about the penalty, and it created one of the biggest feuds of the 2021 season. So Chase Briscoe ultimately in 2022, he's also going to have something big coming for him, as he's going to have a new sponsor that's going to be working with him in 2022, as he's going to be working with Mahindra Tractors. He actually has sponsored a NASCAR car in the past. They sponsored Robert Richardson Jr. back, I think, in 2010 and 2011. So he's going to have a new sponsor that's going to be working with him in 2022 that will not only sponsor his Cup Series endeavors, potential Xfinity Series endeavors, but they will sponsor him in his sprint car endeavors as well, including in the Chili Bowl Nationals, which is coming up here in the next couple weeks. But Chase Briscoe, what are my expectations for him going into 2022? Chase Briscoe 100% has to be more consistent and contend for the playoffs a lot more than he did. And I want to see him potentially get a win next year. And I think he has a very strong chance of doing that in 2022. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's going to improve in 2022. So I think he gets a win in 2022, and I think that will get him into the playoffs, and I think he'll be a much more consistent driver throughout the 2022 season. So good luck to Chase Briscoe in 2022. And I believe we'll also be working with the same crew chief and spotter combination, which I think will really, really help him next year. And we'll also have other spots like High Point and Decal that'll probably work with him next year. So good luck Chase Briscoe in 2022, and hope he can do really, really good to help out SHR and get some wins for them next year. And the final driver SHR we're going to talk about is Cole Custer. Now, Cole Custer has really struggled in the 2 years he's been in the NASCAR Cup Series. He does have one win, then that came in 2020 at Kentucky. But 2021 for Cole Custer was absolutely a frustrating season for Cole Custer, to say at the least. He was by far the worst performing driver at Stewart-Haas. Now, keep this in mind, this was without practice qualifying, because he did have a few top 10s, fair play to him in 2021, and he actually did qualify extremely well in the season finale at Phoenix, when, of course, we did have practice in qualifying, and he actually ended up finishing in the top 10 in that race. So I think with practice and qualifying, there is a possibility that he could really, really improve next year. But going into 2022, for Cole Custer, it's absolutely going to be crunch time. Now, it does help the fact that his dad is basically right now currently the president of SHR, that being Joe Custer. He's currently the president at Stewart-Haas Racing at the moment. I think Cole Custer really, really will be around with SHR for many, many years. But to me, next year is really the make or break year for Cole Custer. He's been in the series for 2 years. His other two guys that were contenders for rookie, and what's crazy is he won the Rookie of the Year in 2020, which I found a little bit stupid the way they gave him the Rookie of the Year. So he did win a race, but let's be for real, he kind of got lucky. I don't think winning a race and making the playoffs should ultimately grant you the Rookie of the Year. But the other two drivers, that being Tyler Reddick and Christopher, have either won Cup Series races or have contended for NASCAR Cup Series victories, and both those drivers have been pretty successful in the tiers of these Cup Series compared to Cole Custer. So like I mentioned, Cole Custer, this really is, to me, a make or break year for Cole Custer going into 2022. And he's going to have help next year because Mike Shiplett, of course, is going to work with him next year. I think Mike Shiplett is one of the most underrated crew chiefs in NASCAR history. And I think he's going to be able to help out Cole Custer as head into 2022. But next year, he's got to improve. Cannot struggle next year because, again, he's been in this series for a couple years now. Like I said, I know he's a driver that's going to be around for many, many years in NASCAR, but he's got to improve, in my opinion, to have a really, really strong shot of being a contender in this series long-term down the road. Overall, for Stewart-Haas Racing going to 2022, they're absolutely going to have to improve as a whole from 2021. Like I mentioned, SHR struggled in 2021 with a lot of issues, a lot of mechanical problems, and really just a lack of speed on the intermediate tracks. And a lot of that was, of course, of the aero issues. There's been discussion, even Ronnie Childers, who is a crew chief for Kevin Harvick right now, who will be the crew chief for Kevin Harvick for many, many years to come. He mentioned that they basically had a change in the wheel wells, and they were getting aero advantages with the wheel wells when NASCAR changed the rules of the inspection with the wheel wells. And I believe that is a major, major contributing factor to the struggles of Stewart-Haas Racing in 2021. So going into next year is a reset year, though, for 2022, so we really don't know how they're going to do. But overall, in 2022, SHR is going to have to 100% show a lot more speed and a lot more pace throughout the 2022 season. We got to see more than, we got to kind of see what they were like when they were doing Extreme. I remember just 3 years ago when SHR in 2018, they were dominating. They were winning, like, I think, 14 or 15 races in 2018. Kevin Harvick got 8 victories. Clint Boyer got 2 victories. Kurt got 1. And Erik Amaral picked up. They got 1. So they got 10 victories in 2018. And I want SHR at some point to get back to those glory days. And maybe they won't do that with Ford because there's potential that they may switch over to Dodge in the near future in the next couple years. And a lot of that's going to be determined about when a potential announcement for SHR, when Tony's NHR team shows up, there's possibly that being the case. They've also got an alliance with Briscoe Racing, and that team should hopefully announce their plans here very, very soon, near the future. But yeah, SHR in 2022, they're going to have to improve on a lot of their stuff. I think they will go into 2022, but I don't expect this team to be a championship threat in 2022. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens going into 2022. But hopefully SHR in 2022 can improve and show a lot more confidence and a lot more pace throughout the 2022 season. So, anyway, that is our today's NASCAR team preview. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notification to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my page as well. Links are below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your expectations for Stewart-Haas Racing as we head into the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season? Do you think that they're going to improve in 2022, or do you think that they're going to struggle once again in 2022 like they did in 2021? Let me know in the comments below. I do have a few videos that are going to be on the way before we close out the 2021 year that hopefully should be getting released very, very soon. And I cannot wait to share them for you guys here very, very soon. But anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.